Questions and comments? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Putting Canada first is something in which this government has been doing since day one. As in fact, we've been building upon Canada's middle class and those aspiring to be a part of it, dealing with the many different economic challenges before us. But to highlight, when he talks about putting Canada first, this particular Prime Minister and this government has actually signed off on more trade agreements than any other Prime Minister or government before us. Foreign investment was I believe, number 3 in the world coming to Canada on a per capita basis, number 1 in terms of the G7 countries. When you take a look in terms of the issues that are related here in Canada, compare Canada's interest rates, our inflation rates to any other G7 country, and you'll find that we're doing exceptionally well. But it still doesn't, it still is important that the government continue to look at the issue of affordability as we have, being sympathetic to in terms of the needs of Canadians, and that's why we come up with issues such as the tax holiday for Canadians on the GST on a number of selected items, an issue in which the Conservatives actually campaigned on, yet that member and the Conservative caucus actually voted against that particular tax cut. Can the member explain why to his constituents, on the one hand, they talk about a tax cut, but on the other hand, when it came time to vote, they actually voted against a tax cut?
The Honourable Member for Calgary Heritage.
Well, as the Parliamentary Secretary well knows, the so-called promised tax cut of this NDP Liberal government is falling apart at the seams. This is one of the major issues that their own Finance Minister resigned her post over, because she understood that the gimmicks and the performance politics of the Prime Minister and their government was in no way a responsible decision to make. She cited in her letter exactly why this tax cut comes at an irresponsible time, in a time in which we expect to see tariffs being imposed on Canadians and on the Canadian economy, and how creating fiscal restrictions and being irresponsible with the budget to the tune of billions would cost this government and the country its position to negotiate with the United States and others. Nobody believes the Parliamentary Secretary and his NDP Liberals when it comes to their performance over the last 9 years. The evidence is obvious in the lives of every Canadian who are hurt and broken by what has happened in the irresponsible administration of this government. We have seen decision after decision place partisanship ahead of the country, decision after decision, place their Prime Minister's personal interests over the actual people of Canada at every turn. Never have we seen this government make a decision for the interests of the country ahead of their own partisan ambitions, and today especially we see the price of that manifest in their Finance Minister's resignation.